Hello, and welcome to 10 Minute Elections. Today is Thursday, July 30th, 2020. As I have a new computer that I'm recording this on, so I'm hoping that the audio is at least marginally improved on this video compared to my last. I'm going to be getting a new microphone soon, so that should help it even more, but for now I hope it's in a slightly better place. I know it was a little iffy in some of my previous videos. Anyway, today's video is an Iowa Spotlight State of the Day, and we've got 6 races to talk about here that are not safe, although one is debatably, but we'll go over it briefly because there is some good stuff to unpack. We've got presidential, Senate, and all 4 congressional districts in the state, 3 of which are actually held by Democrats, so let's just hop right into it. Last time a Democrat won Iowa in a presidential election was 2012, where Barack Obama defeated Mitt Romney by a likely margin, actually, over 5 points there, nearly 6, in fact. So you'll notice the major Democratic hubs here: Des Moines in the central part of the state, Iowa City and Cedar Rapids over here. But you see a lot of the rural counties in the northeastern part of the state also going to Obama winning a lot of those rural counties, some of those suburban voters putting together more than enough of a coalition to win, even though he did lose substantially in some of the northeastern part of the state. That's the 4th congressional district up there, and it's the only Republican district in the state as of right now. So, a lot more red on this map. This is Iowa in 2016 when Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton by a likely margin, nearly 10 points, so a massive swing here, I believe the biggest of any state. So, we still see Des Moines goes blue, Iowa City's down here, Cedar Rapids goes blue. But other than that, this is just a sea of dark red. And you've got some places that were blue in 2012 that are suddenly dark red in 2016. Massive shift. All those rural voters nearly going to Donald Trump, winning the 4th district by a landslide. And Hillary Clinton really not doing well anywhere except for the urban parts of the state where she's doing okay, winning some of those counties. So in Iowa 2020, these are the Biden versus Trump polls. I do have the race rated as a toss-up on the presidential level. So the average on this is 270 to win is Biden 47.5%, Trump 47.0%. I'm just on 270 to win because they generally have more polls than RCP. They're a little more reliable in terms of getting those polls up there as of right now. So we see these leaders going back and forth. Joe Biden only actually leads in one of these polls, but 48% is big. 48% will generally win you a state. We've got Trump with a 48 to 47% lead, Trump with a 44-43 lead, tied at 46, Trump at 48% in some polls. So all of these polls are well within their margins of error. So this is going to be a very close state. This was expected to be a likely state at the beginning of the election cycle and moving towards safe in future election cycles. But Joe Biden has made this state very competitive. Donald Trump is not popular in the state of Iowa. State of Iowa is noteworthy because the Clinton states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, get Joe Biden to 268, and I don't see this map happening, but if Biden were to somehow win the Clinton states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Iowa, just those 3 states plus the Clinton ones, that would give him 274 electoral votes, which even with faithless electors would presumably get him across the line. Iowa Senate race, Ernst versus Greenfield. That presidential toss-up looks redder than it looks blue, just by a hair. Ditto for this one, except bluer than it looks red. We see Theresa Greenfield with leads here. And, 49%, 48%. These are good leads for Theresa Greenfield. The highest Joni Ernst gets is 47%. She was considered to be a rising star in the GOP, but she looks to have a tough re-election race, as, check it out, Theresa Greenfield leading the 270 to win polling average by an entire 2 points. And even though this is only 45%, so you can't read too much into this, still got to classify this one as a toss-up. That's big for Theresa Greenfield. That's a bigger lead than you might expect, judging by some of those presidential election polls. So the other 99 Senate seats, just for some perspective on where this race fits in on the overall map: 50 Democratic seats, 48 Republican seats, and 1 other toss-up. That is the state of Montana. So let's talk about our 4 congressional districts in the state of Iowa. First congressional district, the Democratic incumbent is Abby Finkenauer. The Cook PVI on the district is D+1, and that generally benefits Republicans just because of some of the maps recently. For frame of reference, the state of Colorado, Virginia, and Nevada as well, those are all D+1 PVIs. So we look at the Democratic primary turnout. Primary turnout is generally a pretty good indicator, although it's not entirely reliable because it is a primary. So about 73,000 votes for Abby Finkenauer and just 50,000 votes in the Republican primary. Generally, the party that has an advantage in a district, that's going to be exemplified in the primary. But these are still very encouraging numbers for the Democrats as we see Quick Political Report rating this race as a toss-up, of course, Sabados and Politico as well. But other than that, Inside Elections is rating it a tilt D. JHK gives the Democrat a 4.5 advantage, which is nearly likely, but is a lean categorization. So I do think this race will go to Finkenauer. Moving over to the 2nd Congressional District, we've got 4 competitive districts in the state. Again, just looking at primary turnout here, Rita Hart, the Democrat, getting nearly 67,000 votes, a little over 67,000 votes, compared to 48% in a more divided, 48,000 votes, my bad, in a more divided Republican field. But Marionette Miller Meeks, who is an incumbent state senator in the Iowa State Senate, just wins this primary over fellow Republican Bobby Schilling. I'm sorry about that. So this is the most Democratic district in the state of Iowa. D+4.9 is the JHK rating. So Cook Political Report, of course, rating it as a toss-up. They like to rate things as toss-ups. Likewise with RCP, although RCP generally is a little bit more willing to move away from that toss-up categorization. Other than that, string of lean Ds, one likely D. I don't think this is a likely D district, although, of course, according to JHK, it's very close. 3rd Congressional District, Cindy Axne is the incumbent. About 77,000 votes for the Democrats in that primary, compared to 56,000 in the GOP primary, and just 39,000 for the win. So again, these are not numbers to read too much into, but they are very encouraging for the Democrats. They're numbers that are better to read into than, say, a poll that showed a Democrat up 40% to 35%. Primary turnout would certainly be more indicative of the state of the race. So this is the least Democratic district, according to JHK, that is still held by a Democrat, that is still a D+ district. So we see most of these election forecasters are rating it as toss-ups. Politico, RCP, Inside Elections, Quick Political Report, all 4 of those generally tend toward toss-up, but the fact that they are all rating this as a toss-up tells you that this is going to be a competitive race, although that maybe isn't shown by the primary turnout. And Sabados is rating it as a lean D. 4th Congressional District. This is the lone Republican district in the state. JHK gives it an R plus 12.3. As we see, a lot of safe R's. RCP only giving it a lean R, but of course they do tend toward the middle. And then Niskanen, I believe, that's rating it a likely R. So, big news here is in the GOP primary. Steve King was a long, controversial incumbent Republican. He'd been in there since the Obama years, early Obama years, and he was very controversial. I won't get too much into it, but he was always going to face a serious primary challenge this year. In 2018, he just narrowly beat J.D. Scholten by the Democratic primary winner in 2020. He only beat him by about 4 points, so that race was very close. It was a lean margin. Randy Feenstra, a very conservative state senator in Iowa, defeated Steve King in Steve King's race for renomination. Feenstra he ran on a very pro-Trump platform, and that was really able to carry him to victory in the most conservative part of the state. So J.D. Scholten was the lone Democratic primary contender. He ran unopposed, and so 46K votes for the Democrats compared to 81,000 for the Republicans. So let's get into some race ratings here. Presidential and senatorial, those are toss-ups. First 3 districts are lean D and 4th district. I debated between safe R and likely R on this one, but since it's too early, I am going to rate this one as a likely R. All right, that's all I've got for y'all in the state of Iowa. I know that was a lot of content very quickly, but there are 6 competitive races in the state of Iowa, so I wanted to go over all 6. Thank y'all so much for watching. I do hope the audio is improved. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I'll be back on Monday.